Hello, everyone. Welcome to Midlife Boss series, Women Who I Admire. Today, our guest, she is an incredible speaker, international speaker. She's also a podcaster and has her own show, Rock in Midlife. And let me just make sure that she has an amazing biography. She's recently a Nana. She just got her first grandchild. She is a dynamic speaker on international stage. She's also a midlife speaker and a motivator and a mentor and a coach. And she has her own Your Life of Purpose Academy, where you can join and get influenced and inspired by her. And her mission on earth is to help women create purposeful life and business at the same time. So let me welcome my friend and our speaker at our Ultimate Midlife Makeover in October. It's our virtual summit free event for all of you. And she's going to be a speaker, and I highly recommend right now put it on your to-do list to make sure that you come and hear and listen to her, watch her presentation. Welcome, Kat Coluccio.
Thanks, Olga. Yes, you got it right.
Okay, good. You're a truly international woman. Your husband he's Italian or with Italian background?
Yeah,
right?
Italian background.
Yes, you are from Australia, but you
Yes.
guys ended in New Zealand.
New Zealand, yes. Been here for 21 years.
I'm jealous. What is the story? You can tell us what the story. How did you guys ended up in this kind of neutral country for you? Like what was the story?
Gosh, it's a long story, but our whole story together is pretty crazy. We were originally a blind date, and 3 months later he proposed to me. So we've been together for 32 years, and yet 22 years ago I was over here doing band tours. I was playing with bands and touring around New Zealand. And I thought, I'd love my husband to come back and see this. Brought him back with me for a family holiday. Our kids were little, and we just really felt this thing in our hearts that we were meant to be here. So we did. We packed up everything, left everybody at home, and relocated to New Zealand when our children were 8 and 6, and been here ever since. It's just been lovely, really lovely place to raise a family. So, yeah.
That's amazing. And so then you were a personal trainer, then you got certified as a life coach. And you create your amazing business. You have a very successful podcast. So take us to that transition where you had a job and then you're like, hey, it's time for me to take over and become my own boss.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so there's been a few little stages. I actually started out life with a 4-year degree in music education. So I started out as a high school teacher, moved into lecturing and was playing and doing all those things. And then I had, then I had the classic burnout because I was one of these women trying to do everything with toddlers, run a tertiary training college. I had a couple of hundred students between the ages of 18 and about 30 and burnt out. So we ended up, when we immigrated to New Zealand, I decided I never wanted to go back into classroom teaching. So I just threw myself into being the mum, especially because we had no family to support us, which you probably know what that's like, immigrating and starting over. And so I spent the next few years, I just took gigs, just played professionally on the side, the odd job here and there, and supported my children who became quite elite in their sports. So it ended up being, the soccer mum who spent hours every week driving all over the city, taking the kids to different trainings, and then ending up homeschooling them for 6 years while they traveled the world with their sports because they ended up representing New Zealand and traveling internationally for quite a while. So the first big reinvention was when I was 43 and my youngest daughter had applied to university and we were finishing off the homeschooling. And I realized I was in for a real shock. I was about to become redundant. A 18-year-old off to university doesn't need a soccer mum driving their car around anymore. So that's when I realized I had a choice. I could either sit and pine for what I had, and I see this with so many women. They get stuck in that empty nest moment where it's like the pain and the grief overwhelms them and they get stuck. Or I could choose to love what I'd had, but now grab this opportunity to be something different. So I ended up choosing to go and retrain as a personal trainer because I still loved teaching and working with people, but I knew I didn't want to go back into a classroom situation. So that's when I launched out and began my own job. And the whole journey of that is where I learned the power of building online communities and And gradually out of that, I grew the female community that I've run now for a few years, which is now called Rocking Midlife. It started out as 50 Fit and Fabulous when I was actually doing my own run up to 50. And then the next reinvention happened just a couple of years ago. I was dealing with some health issues. I couldn't cope with getting up at 3:30 a.m. anymore, which was what I was doing the last couple of years when I was training people in the gym. And it was like, actually, it's time to play a bigger game. And I thought, I really want to work with more women than just the group of women I see in the gym. The online thing had really developed so much. So I did another midlife reinvention, left it all behind, and have launched out now fully online as a coach and a speaker and running my communities and podcasts. And I'm sure there'll be another reinvention because I'm one of these people that just loves to keep trying and learning and growing. And that's what I encourage other women to do as well. Just launch out and find those things that you've always wanted to try. You kind of got this little gap at midlife. Go for it.
Yeah, so Kat, I hear you. It looks like you went through every phase of midlife, from the shock of being an empty nester, then still working for somebody else, and then like, wait a minute, what about me? Or at the same time, you tried different venues, like being a personal trainer, but still longer hours, and still you have to get up early. So, and then by all this journey is basically what midlife looks like. You like went through every step and then started your own business. And before that, you had to acquire so many different skills. So I think that women who work with you will benefit if, let's say, it took 5, 7, 10 years for you to go step by step and there was no manual. I think what you bring to the table, that almost like, work with me and I will show you the shortcuts. And in a good way, not to escape the pain and the pain of growth pain, but to simplify those things. Like, if you like, don't you think like, I wish I knew, like there are some certain things you're like, I wish I knew. So can you share with us like what you teach women? I wish I knew. And by hiring you, by working with you, that will avoid unnecessary pain.
Look, with all the women I'm just going to make a few generalizations. With all the women that I've worked with over the years, either in the gym or with the life coaching or online with training, I've found there's some real common elements. And a big one is real lack of self-confidence and lack of self-worth. And I mean, because they're things that I battled myself. So yeah, I kind of have had to walk the talk too. I've actually had to face these things myself, and I still face them every time I get on a live stream or in front of people. I still face that. Am I good enough? They're going to find out I'm a fraud. I'm too big. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not anything. All those things that we keep telling ourselves as women, and we hold ourselves back. And what I like to encourage women to do is realize that you have this little gap of time in general, like where you get to empty nest time or close to it, and you got this gap before you're a senior yourself and possibly unable to make some of these, try some of these opportunities and things. So my thing for women is you're going to have to learn to actually shut those voices down, or at least be able to reframe those voices that are holding you back, because now actually is your time. And if not now, when are you actually going to go do those things? We don't live forever. Things do change as we age. I'm all about being positive, but I'm also about being a bit realistic as well, probably because I've worked in the gym and I've had injuries, and I actually live with a chronic health condition myself. So I'm realistic about that stuff, but I'm like, but we can still have a fabulous life around that, and let's just go do it now while we have this gift of time.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's this urgency. I call this midlife years. And my message is, it's like somebody said, it sounds like a cat's years, cats or dogs years. But midlife years is like one midlife year counts for 3 human years, at least.
Goes so fast.
Yeah, it goes faster. And like today, I interviewed our other speaker, Chloe. And what I see, if in our 20s, 30s, you gain weight because you eat whatever you want, or something happened, or you didn't have time, and then you gain 20 pounds. Then like, I remember time, it will take 6 months and I will just lose 20 pounds back. What a big deal. But now you cannot afford that. It's a different game, whether it's weight loss, right? Or like you said, reinventing yourself, it takes longer. And now all those self-doubts accumulated into this big bunch. And then at the same time, shock after shock, right? Like maybe chronic disease, or your body is not as strong as before. There's like midlife can be like, in my case, it was a crisis-like situation. I had to totally do the inventory on every level, from like what I do for living, who I'm married to, what I want for me, for my soul, for my heart, what is my heart desire, all that stuff like just came. Like, I wish it was spread out a little bit longer, but for me it was just literally within 6 months. So when women come and work with you, do you start, and again, there's no wrong or right approach, but everybody's so unique, but what do you think your approach? Do you start with their a very common, very popular mindset? Do you talk about, like you said, why you don't love yourself? Is it like self-love approach, or you also, like, I know you're a businesswoman, you offer them a business approach, more analytical, more like specific, step 1, step 2, step 3?
I'm a bit of all three. Like, for instance, when I was working in the gym, and I worked there for 7 years, I was known as gym mama, because I do have that empathetic side, but I also have that tough side that says, okay, yeah, poor girl, I'm so sorry that you're going through a rough time. Now do those 10 push-ups, okay? So, I had that both sides, and my coaching is a little bit the same. I'm known for being empathetic, and because I genuinely love women, and I genuinely believe that everyone has something that really, lights their fire and has a spark that the world needs to see.
Right.
But at the same time, I'll call them on it. Like, okay, honey, well, your goals that you set, so I help women set their goals, but it's digging out what they've got in them, not me telling them what to do. But I will then hold them accountable to it. So, okay, have you done that thing that you said you were going to do? All right, why not? How can we work a way around this? How can we reframe things so that you will do that thing that you're saying you want to do? And that was kind of the core. I wrote my book, 21 Hacks to Rock Your Life, which was kind of based around this whole thing of all these practical steps that I've taken my clients through, that I've taken myself through, so that women can get basically from A to B. Because it's often when you don't have a coach or you don't have a guide, you can get stuck over here, which you'd probably know, Olga, with people you've worked with. They can get stuck and their head's so full of, it's like not seeing the forest for the trees. They're so caught up with one little thing down here that they're missing the big picture. So I find with coaching, I'm able to help women see the bigger picture. And the starting point is always the mind. Whether I'm working with high school kids, whether I'm working with women, it's always the same. It starts with the mind, how they talk to themselves, how they see themselves. Do they even picture the ability of them to be able to succeed? I mean, that's a huge one. Because if you've got a loop in your head saying, you're no good, you are only a mother, you were only able to do this, you'll never be able to do this, well, then you kind of already hamstrung yourself before you even embark on that midlife reinvention. So it starts with the mind. It really does.
Yeah, Kat, I knew this. You see, I was listening to you at the beginning. I knew that you must have some hacks or shortcuts because you had to go through every phase. And I knew that you're the author and wrote a couple of books. But I think it's fascinating. So you were able to summarize your journey into 21 steps. How cool is that? Like, it's a huge benefit to women. They can save time. Again, I always say, come and learn from our mistakes, especially women who belong to the generation behind us. They can read your book and work with you, and again, avoid mistakes, learn from our mistakes. So who's your like favorite client? Can you describe, let's say her name is Jennifer. So who do you like to work the most? I always ask this question because then if she's listening to us right now, maybe she is looking for you, and this is like bingo, we manifested her for you and for each other.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Jennifer. Jennifer's probably in her, I usually find most of the women around the early 40s through to the 49 age, although I do work with older ladies too, as obviously I'm older. But I find they're the ones who are really hitting that stage of life where I call it a roller coaster. It's like you were saying before, Olga, midlife, you get a whole lot of things thrown at you. You've got your hormones, you've got your body, you've got empty nest. And then we've got the other dilemma of aging parents, or some of us might be walking through grief from losing parents or losing friends. And then we've got these high points of children getting married and all this business. But through it all, there's still that chance that you could easily miss of you not grabbing that thing, like not grabbing and realizing it's your time now as well. And women get so caught up serving other people, and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that, but often that's not enough. There's women who actually have other things, other dreams and desires that they need help to be able to release those things. So Jennifer is someone who's facing probably something physical happening. It's often around firsts with your children. In my case, it was my daughter about to start university. Some people, it's when their child is about to start high school. Other people, it's, when the child's finishing university or whatever. It's often around those kind of key life areas that people start to make decisions. And I was talking to someone, actually, this is an aside, Olga, but I was talking to someone recently and they were saying that's also the times apparently when marriages break down, because women suddenly think, right, I'll hang in there till my child starts high school, or I'll hang in there until my child starts college or whatever. So it's quite a significant time in our lives when these sort of little milestones happen. So my ideal woman is someone who's coming up to one of these milestones, realizes that, yep, there may be some pain in what's about to happen. However, they also grab that little bit of excitement and go, oh, but this could be something more. And they want to explore that, and they want to launch into something, particularly if it's something to do with business, because that's where I can help and bring strategy as well from my years of running my own businesses. But any woman that wants more, knows that there's more, knows that this is their time and they really want to go for it, that's my kind of woman.
Yeah, it sounds like, if she's listening, if you are listening to us right now, and it sounds like you, absolutely, there is no reason for you not to reach out. And today, when I interviewed Chloe, our other speaker from the upcoming Ultimate Midlife Makeover Summit, she said her metaphor was, we women come to this library and we're so excited, and we know that we can find potentially the answer, and there are thousands and thousands of books. And without the coach, right, without the mentor, you can spend the next 10 years and you might find the book of your choice and it's going to be good. But imagine if somebody will just hold your hand and say, hey, let me show you around. Don't go here yet. Like, you will be so overwhelmed. It's cool. These books are amazing, but you will be too overwhelmed. You're not ready. Let's go this direction. And each time, look, we coaches, mentors, we all always have somebody, right? Like, I have a coach, I have a business coach.
So do I.
Yeah, and I have a life coach who happened to be my best friend. And it's so convenient. And honestly, I tell Kat, everybody, true story, if I didn't have my life coach, whether it's something to share and it's a good news, or sometimes like you cry and you need to talk. And also, like you said, sounds like your approach is authoritative, but very kind and very empathetic. I think it's one of the best combinations, because we don't want just to hear like, oh, poor thing. We don't want that, right? Yeah. But we don't want some insensitive person who would not understand and try to kind of like put their feet in my shoes. So that awesome.
Absolutely.
So what is your favorite story recently? A lady you work with, or your group coach in your academy?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that, Olga. What was that?
I think there was some call going through. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So the question is, tell us the story lately or recently with you working one-on-one or from your academy, where you can just basically, without names, of course, tell us like happy news, happy ending. She came before and then you worked together and after. I think if you kind of illustrate that story for us, then it will be like another glimpse of hope for that Jennifer or her girlfriend. And she can call right now and say, oh my gosh, I just heard this interview and Kat, it will be perfect match for you. So if you can share with us.
All right, I'll do like a mashup.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so I've worked with a number of ladies just with different things. So the ideal is, when I'm coaching women, I'm working around, we were trying to draw out what their purpose is, what their goals are, what it is that they want to achieve. So once we've kind of mapped that out, and I help them with a few different strategies to map that out, then we start setting goals and different strategies and adjusting as we go, and that's when the accountability sets in. So I've had women, obviously, when I was in the gym scene, their idea was to get strong and healthy. I coached a man for a while in the gym scene who was doing one of those long enduro challenges in off-road racing in Vegas, and he was in his 60s, and he was going to do this 4-hour race. So obviously we grabbed his specific goals. It was all about being fit and strong, being able to cope with that. And he got there and he did it. I've had women who were coming up to 50 going, right, I'm not happy in my job. I want to celebrate turning 50 really well. And we actually mapped out everything for them. Now, this lady, if she is listening, she's incredible. She'd come back and we'd go through and we'd check up what she'd done. And she gradually was ticking off the things that she wanted to achieve, which was just brilliant. And you could see the confidence starting to come through. Unfortunately, her year of 50 was this year. So as you can imagine, things kind of got thrown with all these travel plans that she had. But because she already had the resilience of all the things she'd want to do, she was being able to just take it on the chin and tweak, and that's all cool. And yeah, and plan. Now, that might not seem very much, but for this woman, that was a huge thing for her because she'd been worried about aging. She lost a parent last year, so she went through all the grief with that. So it was actually a really big thing to actually publicly acknowledge her age and also be working towards the new career that she wants to be developing and in turning 50. So it's not specific, but I just love it when I see people go away and achieve the things that they decided they wanted to achieve. And one exercise I should mention, I write about it in my 21 Hacks. You probably know it as a coach, and I've literally just written a little book and video to sell because people love it so much. And I suggest every client starts with a life audit. And if you've heard of that Wheel of Life exercise, it came from Zig Ziglar and all of that.
Oh,
that's
no, tell us, Kit.
Yeah, it's brilliant because it's with every client that I get, it gives them a snapshot of where they are in this very moment. So what I love is when I do that with clients, we start off and they'll be able to work out, okay, I'm doing great with finances, but I'm actually doing really low in the friend and fun area, or I love my physical environment, but I've got nothing happening in the romance department. So it gives you a good snapshot of where you're at. And then what I love doing with clients is seeing them again months down the track, because it takes months to really, bring in new habits, new routines, and see transformation. When we do that exercise again and they hold those two circles up and can see, hey, romance was really low here, but wow, look at it. It's right up here now. And because they've actually looked at their life and gone, right, they're the areas I want to change. And then we've worked methodically and they've been able to hold up this plan and see, look at where I came from. And it's so easy, like, to just go aimlessly through life. And like I said, we don't have time. We don't have time to fluff around. If you want to do something significant, you want to do something purposeful, you want to go out and create a business, or you want to just go serve people, you kind of need to get your act together, get that snapshot of where you are, where you want to go, and get that person that's going to help you get there so you can do that thing. So
yeah, it's a very good exercise. I can see how it's sometimes it creates that clarity almost automatically, where women say, I wish, like, there's something wrong with me and I wish I know what it is, but it's not my life. And I was listening to you, Kat. It reminded me, it's so important that now we have this luxury and privilege to have life coaches and midlife mentors. And some women don't realize how valuable it is. Can be extremely, extremely important. I remember myself at the beginning of 40s. I remember sitting in the kitchen, and it was my birthday, and I hated it, and I saw this cake. And I remember I was sitting there and crying because it's just like, it was a nightmare. It was a beautiful movie, and I saw myself in it, but it was not my story. And somebody else wrote the script. I just happened to be in this movie, and it was not an ugly movie, but it was not mine. And I knew with every cell of my body, it's just not what I like. It's not for me. And what do you do with 4 children and, like you mentioned, sick parents? That kind of part of sandwich generation in America, we say it's a sandwich. You're between your children, you're still in your house, and above you, your parents, and you have so many responsibilities. And I still worked full time for the big corporation. So I think that moment, if I had somebody literally on dial, I could call you and say, Kat, can we have this session? It's emergency. Yes. Why am I so unhappy, even though the physical environment, like you mentioned, can be perfect? It was a perfect house, beautiful picture, and still inside of you, you're slowly dying. So I think that so many
and that's where that life audit would be perfect, isn't it? Because then you go through and you actually sit and look. We service our cars, don't we? Every 5 50,000 Ks
Yeah,
or something
good
like, or
for them.
miles for you guys. Yeah, but we don't give our lives the same attention where we sit and actually look at where we're at. Are we happy? Is this going well? You know, obviously there's a lot of things we can't control, but there are certain things that we can choose to make differences to. And yeah, and I know for me, and like you've already alluded to, like the best transformations I personally ever experienced, either in the gym or building a business or working, was when I invested in a coach. And that's the reason why I have keep gravitating back to teaching and working with people and coaching, because I want to do the same for other people. I want to help them see that transformation. And time, I keep saying it, time just goes like that. You know, I was 43 when I made that first midlife reinvention. I turned 55 in 2 weeks' time. It's gone like that. You know, so I'm thinking already, like, what can I do next? What can I do? How can I develop? And the big thing that I ask everybody is, what legacy do you want to leave behind? And that's what I'm asking myself all the time. What is the legacy I want to build? I might have, 30, 40, 50 years left? Who knows? I might get hit by a car tomorrow. What legacy have I built that I'm proud of, that my kids and my family, my community will be able to be helped by?
Yes,
So,
you nailed it. I think it is midlife. It's almost a challenge and a blessing and a curse in the same time if you
yeah.
don't really like. First of all, I like it. Let's ask our viewers to, this is your homework. Sit down and write down every area of your life, and just give yourself a grade. You know, let's say 10 perfect, wonderful, 5 mediocre, 1 is like, please help me today. So first evaluate yourself, but then answer this question, what Kat said. Answer honestly this question: what is your legacy? What will be that mark you're going to leave behind if something happens to you? Like 1 thing, 2 things. And I think it's not to be scared, right? But to wake up. I think the message is, Kat, to just gently, like you said, very gently, with a lot of kindness, you are waking up women. In a sense that, like I say, there's this beautiful song in all of us. And if you don't really get intentional, Kat and I will never hear that song. The world will never know your story. So you were very kind and gracious to agree to speak at our event, the Ultimate
it's a
Midlife
privilege,
Makeover,
Olga.
in October. I know we're so busy. You just recently became a nonna, a grandma nonna. And I know that I talked to today, somebody asked me about the summit, and I said, do you realize that there are, I think I lost Kat. We're going to wait for her, but I will continue. I just want to talk to you, my dear viewers, watchers, people who watch us. We are putting together this amazing event. It's absolutely free. It's 2 days. It's virtual. You can be in your pajamas. And we are bringing to you the best 14 speakers. Every woman has a story, and she comes and shares with you. And she shares secrets, all the hacks and shortcuts, how you can avoid those mistakes, for example, she has done or she experienced. And if you really think, it's not another thing for you to attend. It's not another event to sign up for. This event is different because every woman donated her time to warm you up, to touch your heart. If you come with that gratitude, I think you will enjoy the summit. We lost you for a while, so I'm bringing you back, Kat. You ready? Okay. All right. Here you
I
are.
have no idea what happened there. It just
It's the
went black.
internet. Yeah, it's the internet. I was just saying that this event, today event, women can come in their pajamas at the convenience of their home. It's virtual. And, you know, just think about it. There are 14 speakers, and everybody, including you and me, we are donating our precious time.
Yeah.
Time is money, right? But we're doing this because, first of all, we are a good example that there's that song, there's that story. So you, Kat, are coming and sharing your story with us. But the beauty is, you say, hey, my story was going since I was 43, but I am, I kind of like summarize it for you in 21 hacks, for example, right? Or 21 steps. And I think it's so priceless. It's how we're going to change the world. It's how we're going to turn around and mentor that lady who's next to us, that so so that she can turn around in a couple of years and mentor other women. And I think
Yes.
that's how we can,
Yes.
this is the part of your legacy, Kat, definitely.
Yeah.
Reaching and teaching and sharing freely. Like you said, it can be scary and uncomfortable, but you do this anyway. And this is what you teach women.
Yes,
Do that even
absolutely.
if it doesn't feel comfortable.
Yep, that's exactly what I teach women. I mean, in real life, I'm actually an introvert. I'm quite happy hiding in my home. I've found lockdown, the only thing I've really found bothersome about lockdown has been more the fact that the rest of the family were in the home the whole time as well. I just like my space. But I get up and I speak, and I get up on these things because it's part of that legacy thing. I want to help other women get out and do the things that they're called to do, because I know that every woman's got a gift. They've got something, like you said, they've got a song, they've got something unique that can impact their community and their world. And if I can help them, just if I can be one little part of their journey that just gives them that nudge to get out there and do what they're called to do, then I'm so excited by that and thrilled by that. And it's worth, having to put a face on and stand in front of a camera, because they've made such a difference. And it's just that ripple effect, and that's why it's actually a privilege to be part of this summit with Olga, because I think Olga's just doing something that's actually been on my heart for ages too, which is just to reach more women and empower more women. So each speaker, I'm sure that you have, Olga, and you especially yourself, it's going to be there for the right people, for the people who relate, who resonate most with them. And yeah, I just think that the potential of women empowering women is huge, and women have such an impact on their families and their communities.
Absolutely, Kat. And you just said something wonderful, that ripple effect. Because if you ask an average, like I know you have a beautiful community, Rocking Midlife, 5,000 plus women, and my Facebook group is Midlife Boss. And each time when you ask women, everybody like, hey, I want to change the world. And we are givers, we are nurses, we're women with that female, that feminine in us. It's helping, caring, influencing, touching, bring empathy. And so everybody, if you ask women like, hey, I want to change the world, but I think there's one step we all so excited we skip. What about changing your own world first?
Yes,
changing your inner world first, because that will make you unstoppable. That will make you double, triple stronger, that you can literally go and change the world. And that's why I think working with you, Kat, working with the life coach who had experienced midlife transition step by step, plus a businesswoman, business owners. So yes, this virtual summit we're putting together, we all donating our time for that particular reason. Because if we help and assist and mentor you today, how you can change your inner world, we know for sure, then you will go and fly. You will fly, and then we can influence thousands of women, Kat, through these people. Through these women who we talk today, we can reach thousands and thousands of women through them. And this is what part of my legacy, because I know in my lifetime I cannot reach millions and millions of women, but through women like you, our speakers, our participants who will come and listen to our presentations and reach out, we can make that difference we always wanted. Definitely.
You've done brilliantly.
Well, thank you, dear. And so tell us a little bit about your presentation, what you're going to talk about, and give us just one, maybe or two hints. What, like I sign up for your presentation. By the way, I will put a link. And when you come and register for our event, we give you freedom. You can scroll down and pick up your speaker. You can listen to all 14 speakers. Some of them come back twice with different topics. Some of them have the same topic, part 1, part 2. So I will put a link specifically where you can come and see Kat's information. So what is your presentation about? And give us a couple of hints. What is there for me? Women like, okay, what is there for me? So let's answer that question.
Okay, so I'm doing the presentation. It's actually the one I used live when I ran my very first big Rocking Midlife event here in Auckland at the end of 2018, obviously with a bit more updating in it. But I'm asking women the question, are you the leading lady in your own life? And we're going to be touching on so many of the themes that we talked about today. Are you the leading lady, or are you a bit player being ordered around by the director? by somebody else? Are you doing somebody else's script, like Olga said? Are you, putting everyone else's needs and wants and everything in front of those things that you've still got inside that you actually are desperate to bring out? So we're going to talk about that. We're going to touch on what your mind is saying to you to keep you trapped in that place of not taking that leading lady role. And I'm just going to give you a few little keys, a couple of practical things, because I'm always about practical actions and hacks that you can take away and start using right away to help you start changing how you look at yourself and how you feel about yourself, and hopefully light that spark that goes, I could be more. I could be more the person that I actually would love to become. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about that.
Yeah, I like that, Kat. So yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for all our viewers and listeners. Are you the leader, or you are a follower?
Yeah.
And it can be like what you said. It can be somebody else in your life who is running the show. It can be your own ego, your own insecurities and doubts that you allow to run your show. Like it can be your inner child, some emotional pain from the past got all in this bundle of unforgiveness and maybe somewhat even bitterness. And that's why one extreme, Kat, as you know, women come and there's so much guilt and shame. That is extreme. And on the other hand, another extreme to do nothing. Yeah, I feel bad. My life sucks, and it is what it is. But here we are talking to you, Jennifer or Eleanor, our dear midlife sisters. That there's
the name at the moment, Karen. This is even for Karens.
Absolutely. There's another way. There's a gentle way. There's where you can get out of that shame and guilt. We all have guilt, especially mothers. As soon as you become a mother, the guilt piles up, right? Oh, I should have changed diapers more often. That's why he's this way. My gosh, we can go on and on. But there's another gentle way of forgiving yourself, accepting yourself, and then be honest and be open. And after you attend Kat's presentation, please answer not to us, but to yourself. Are you the leader? And if you're not, what stops you?
Yeah.
What do you have to give up? What do you have to how wide your heart and your mind has to be open that you will find the true answer, right? Because again, another extreme, Kat, you're asking women, how are you? And it's like, I'm fine, right? It's
I'm fine.
It's a defense mechanism. It's a mask. I'm a strong, like for me, for years I'm a strong Russian lady, who doesn't cry. Ask me, oh, I'm fine. It's another extreme. It's like, okay, midlife is time to open up with all your darkness and all your light, and it's the only way to live your life. So my last question, Kat, I always ask the same question because I think it's like almost me collecting the wisdom, the pros of wisdom. What is there one thing which you know for sure? It can be a professional, personal life, and basically it was something I say, it's Kat's absolute truth. You're willing to die for it. It's like, this 100%, and this is it. This is like final. And we want to know this because you're so sure.
Okay. It's actually the motto that I've got on my about information on my website and everywhere. And that is that it's never too late to have a new beginning in life. So if you're someone who's always wanted to learn how to paint, you're not too old. If you're someone who wants to go do music, you're not too old. You're someone who wants to learn how to build websites, there's nothing stopping you except for you. So I really, truly believe that it's never too late to have a new beginning. And that's been the motto I've lived by. And that meant I was able to start over and go be a beginner so many times. And I'm being a beginner again this year with new projects that I'm trying and new things I'm learning. And when you realize that there's nothing wrong with being a beginner, but you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable, to go to that place and go, okay, so I'm in my 50s, so I'm going to start writing a book. So what? And allowing yourself the vulnerability to go start again, to start something new. So age is the limit that you put on yourself, ladies. You don't need to be bound by it.
It's wonderful, Kat, and it resonates with me, and that's why we put in this event, the ultimate midlife makeover. We wanted to start with your inner makeover first, before we, go and cut our hair and maybe try a different hair color, which is cool and sexy. But let's start this inner work, inner makeover, and answer the question, am I a leader, am I a follower? And if I'm still a follower after all these years on earth, what's happening, right? What's happening? And then also this like tattoo on your forehead. I mean, it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
It's never too late. Just right now, sit down and make a list of things you thought they are too late for you. Just write them down, we dare you. And then come and listen to Kat's presentation. And that will help you to take specific steps toward making that list much, much shorter. And then that hopefully our prayer today, that list of things I cannot do because it's too late or I'm too old, that list will disappear. So thank you, Kat, so much for your kindness.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for donating your time, even you are just having this brand new baby in your household, and you still are committed 100% to come and lead and teach us and mentor us and share that light that you have. And I know you're in different country, different continent, but we all feel it. And somebody recently asked me, is Kat going to talk at this event? And I said, yes. She goes, oh, she's my favorite. So there's some women, there's some women who already acknowledged that light in you. So it just confirmed that you were the right person, and we're very, very blessed. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you.
All right, well, thank you, everybody. I will continue our series, Women I Admire, and please share this video with other midlife sisters, girlfriends, and also there's a link after this presentation, after this interview. Go and register, and when you scroll down, find Kat and register specifically for her presentation about how you can find that life purpose at any age. Thank you, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Olga. Bye, everybody.
Bye.